I felt like I was never going to become what I imagined I would be. I had that moment where you're like, oh my God, I'm never gonna be that person that, 18-year-old Andy really wanted to be. Commit, to obligate or pledge oneself. My name is Andrew Ray. I make a YouTube series called Binging with Babish where I recreate foods from movies and television. Probably in 11th or 12th grade when I was deciding, okay, where am I going to go to college? I had to pick between food and film. These are the two things that I feel the most passionate about, neither of which are very secure career paths. So I actually decided to go with the one that I felt like maybe there was a little bit more security in, film major. Food sort of got put on hold for a little while. After I graduated, I was committed to living in New York City. I moved here with $2,000 in my pocket that I got from selling my car. I was interning at 2 different post-production houses, just doing everything I could to get my foot in the door. I was just working as an assistant and slowly worked my way up in this company to a senior flame artist, just like making people look a little prettier, getting rid of logos from their clothing or getting rid of their hair frizz or whatever. I was starting to feel creatively stifled, and it just turned me into a shell of a person, and I fell into this spiral, this tailspin of depression. I ended up spending 2 weeks in bed because I couldn't get out of bed and face the day. It was too much. I reached a point where I realized that I needed help. So I sought out a therapist. I got on the medication that I needed because I'd been suffering from chronic depression and anxiety. And with that newfound energy, I was able to exert myself in new ways on projects that gave me fulfillment and excited me. And one of those was food photography. I knew that I was onto something. And I became obsessed with getting to the front page of Reddit Food, which means getting all the way to the #1 slot. That was addicting. So I shot this little piece in my kitchen and immediately ran to my computer and was editing it within a minute. And I was like, wow, I'm excited again. I can pour myself into something again. Parks and Rec was on in the background. Ron and Chris were having a burger cook-off, and I was like, what would that burger actually taste like?
Black truffle aioli and microgreens on a gluten-free brioche bun.
I was enlivened by my new pursuit, but I still had a looming sadness. I still had this cloud over me, and I couldn't quite figure out why. I had read about psychedelics being used in clinical trials to treat patients with severe depression or PTSD, and so I ate some mushrooms and went to my therapist. He asked me pointed questions that shook me to my core, and I went home and was back in bed again for a few days because I was so wildly depressed by the realization that I was not happy in my marriage. It was a tumultuous process, but I needed that. I needed that catastrophic change. I needed to commit to changing my life and my outlook, and that was the first step. The first few episodes of the show, they were a grind. I would come home from work at 7 p.m. I'd shoot until 3, 4 in the morning. I'd go to sleep for a couple hours. I'd go to work. I was only able to do it because I was enjoying it so much. I hadn't just committed to it for the sake of committing. I had committed to it because I knew it was something that I needed. So the first episode to really pop off was the unfortunately named Moist Maker from Friends. That was the point when I knew that I had something that I needed to pursue, and that was the point when I started making the show every week, every Tuesday, no matter what. It was scary to quit my job. I had to be a small business owner. I wasn't making the kind of money yet where I could hire a team, but it was so exciting. There were times when I was very, very depressed that I was wondering, when am I ever gonna be happy? And I'm like, oh, that's not what happiness is. You don't reach a point and stop. Happiness comes from the pursuit. Now I was able to pursue that, commit to that full time. What could be better? It took me like 26 years to merge my two passions. I wish I could tell you that I just came up with this brilliant intersection of all these things, but really I was watching a burger on TV and I wanted to see what it tastes like. This show is very much a personal expression of what I get fulfillment from and what I derive joy from. This show's more than personal, it's become my entire identity.